Hi friends, and here let me go ahead and give you a little bit of introduction to logic as a subject. Logic, as we have said earlier, it is the language for reasoning. It is a collection of rules which we will be using when the logical reasoning is going to take place. Little bit of history, you can understand it more with the Greeks and how it has started off from the world of Greeks, and then it emerged, or I would say not just the Greeks. Historically, this is what we say. However, parallelly, it was present even in the Indian logical systems also, especially to the theories. If you look into the Nyaya philosophies or Jainism philosophies also, you'll understand the entire system of logic based has been observed into these particular schools of thought. And we will later on, I first would be focusing more and more on the Western concept of logic rather than on the Indian, though I'm equally interested in the Indian systems of the logic. And I am focusing especially because there has been quite a lot of research which can be proceed further, and my teacher was telling me, you are a better person to do that, so why don't you go ahead and take care. Maybe after a few weeks, once I have completed with the Western introduction, giving you the introduction to the Western system of logic, we will enter into the Indian thoughts also side by side. Now here you'll see that has been taken care from the times of the Greeks, especially Plato, and then to Aristotle. The entire syllogistic theory, predicate and propositional logic that I was talking about has been given from the side of Aristotle. It was later on, we will see how it ended up with Frege, the moment he entered into his mathematical understanding, then to Alfred Whitehead, Bertrand Russell and Moore. So the classical systems, till that time it was being followed very strictly. By the time Frege, Russell, Whitehead, Moore came in, they were the British analytical philosophers, I would say, and they started thinking about it. So the foundation of the logic that has been given to us, especially by the British mathematician George Boole, in the middle of the 19th century. And you will see that the entire Boolean logic is available to us before we can understand what the fuzzy logic is. Now, if you don't get introduced to the Boolean logic, I'm so sorry to tell you that fuzzy logic is, you can never understand. It would be the most superficial way to understand it. And it was later on developed. So Boole, then we had Gottlob Frege, the German mathematician. Later on, Bertrand Russell, who turned out, he is a British philosopher and a mathematician, found, that there are certain flaws or mistakes in the assumptions of Frege's attempt to understand mathematics and move towards the logic. And later on, he and one of his friends, Alfred Whitehead, they were very good colleagues of each other, and every day they used to sit and they used to discuss certain things. They developed where Frege failed and repaid what was wrong in their own thought, I would say. And that's how the current logic, the contemporary logic, has been introduced. So what are we more interested in? Now here you will understand it that yes, I am more interested to learn logic, to learn about true and false of statements, truth and falsehood of the statements, differentiation between sentences and how it can be converted to statements or propositions in order to move towards the truth or falsehood of certain things. Then what are the formal structures that I have got, sentences to propositions to arguments, and to understand how to go ahead with the truth or falsehood about certain theorem or the proposition that has been kept in front of us, basically. And then we can even understand what we call it as the soundness, validity, proofs of something, rules for logic, and last but not the least, I'm more interested in consistency, inconsistency, validity, invalidity, completeness, incompleteness, soundness, unsoundness, and all these things have to do with your arguments, nothing else, and expressivity as well as the unexpressivity. Now you will see when you're reading a paper, You see, in when I compare the papers written by the international writers as well as the Indian writers, this is where the problem comes in. In international papers, I see more of the word, this is unsound, this is not valid, this is not complete, this is complete one, or inconsistency, or it is full of fallacies, these paradoxes there. Whereas in Indian papers, we are just talking about the critical reviews, that's it. And that also, okay, this person said this person this. We do very good rich review of literature about what and who said this thing. However, are we literally using these words, and do we really know the meaning of these words? This is where my concern is. Now afterwards, if we have understood, we would be moving towards what we call it as the formal logic and the informal logic also, and we will find out more and more as to what are the differences between the formal and the informal logic, and do we really have to study them as separate branches of it or not. Given this small introduction to logic, let me move ahead with more into the technicalities of logic, and move ahead so that we can enjoy our own learnings about the logic. Till then, thanks and take care. Bye.